The quest to unravel the mysteries of the universe has led humanity to explore the vast cosmos. Along the way, we have encountered countless celestial wonders, but none has captured our imagination quite like the UFOs. For decades, UFO sightings have puzzled, intrigued, and fueled conspiracy theories. Notably, interest in UFO sightings definitively spiked in 2024 when the CIA's secret alien base in Alaska has been blown wide open. That revelation, put simply, could change everything we know about extraterrestrial life. Join us as we dig deep into the heart of Alaska's mysteries, confronting alien realities we never imagined. UFO, flying saucers, aliens, and extraterrestrials are all terms that are likely to turn away the average person. But don't you know that the US government has spent decades inquiring into the unknown? Project Blue Book stands as a testament to the US's enduring fascination with the unknown. Established by the United States Air Force in 1952, Project Blue Book emerged in response to growing concerns about the potential national security implications of UFO sightings. The primary objectives of Project Blue Book were to scientifically analyze UFO reports, identify any potential threats, and provide explanations for the sightings. Project Blue Book employed a multifaceted approach to investigate UFO sightings. Military personnel, civilians, and commercial pilots were encouraged to report any encounters with unidentified aerial objects. Once a report was received, Blue Book investigators meticulously collected witness testimonies, analyzed photographs and radar data, and conducted on-site investigations when feasible. Experts in various fields, including meteorology and astronomy, were consulted to help determine the nature of the sightings. The project utilized scientific methodologies to categorize and assess each reported UFO sighting. And over the course of its operation, Project Blue Book examined 12,618 sightings of UFOs. The vast majority of these sightings were ultimately attributed to known phenomena such as weather balloons, aircraft, or celestial objects. However, a small percentage of cases remained unexplained even after thorough investigation. These unknowns presented a perplexing challenge to Blue Book investigators as they defied conventional explanations. One notable incident is the 1965 Kecksburg UFO crash in Pennsylvania, often dubbed Pennsylvania's Roswell. While the official explanation suggested it was a meteorite, eyewitnesses described a metallic object with strange markings. Decades later, questions and theories about the incident persist. In 1969, Project Blue Book came to an end, officially closing its doors. The decision was influenced by several factors, including budgetary constraints, the belief that UFOs did not pose a national security threat, and the overall determination that the investigation had not yielded any evidence of extraterrestrial life. Project Blue Book's conclusion left many unsatisfied, as some believed the government had not been entirely forthcoming with its findings. This skepticism further fueled the UFO conspiracy culture that endures to this day. According to Sean Kirkpatrick, who heads the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office at the Pentagon, the U.S. government is receiving dozens of reports of unidentified anomalous phenomena, more commonly known as UFOs, each month, with the potential for hundreds, if not thousands, more reports expected in the near future. There are several different types of UFOs that have been reported over the years, including saucers or discs, cigar-shaped objects, triangular or boomerang-shaped craft, and even orbs or spheres. Some UFO sightings can be explained as natural phenomena or man-made objects, while others remain a mystery. Here's a quick summary of the different crafts that have been frequently observed over the years. Probably the most iconic imagery of a UFO comes in the shape of a flying saucer. It's what many associate the term UFO, or unidentified flying object, with, and it's possibly the most famous type of UFO out there. These objects are typically described as round or saucer-shaped with a dome on top and are often metallic or reflective in appearance. Many have reported that they can move at high speeds and make sudden stops and turns, and maneuver in ways unknown to modern science. The term flying saucer was first used in 1947 by a pilot who reported seeing several disc-shaped objects flying in formation over Mount Rainier, Washington. Tic Tac UFOs are a UFO that have been witnessed by people all over the world. According to witnesses, similar to flying saucers, Tic Tac UFOs are said to be able to travel at incredible speeds, halt abruptly, and make sharp turns without any apparent means of propulsion. As well as the impossible maneuverability, Tic Tacs have also been said to go from standby hovers to speeds over 1,000 km/h in a matter of seconds, which is scientifically impossible to achieve. These items were given the name Tic Tac because of how much they resembled the well-known mints. Tic Tac UFOs continue to be a focus of interest and research in the realm of ufology, even though their origins and nature are not fully understood. One of the most interesting types of UFO is the triangle-shaped craft that have appeared numerous times over the years. These objects are typically described as large, triangular-shaped craft with lights at each corner. Witnesses have reported that they are often silent and move at low speeds, hovering or slowly gliding over urban and rural areas. Some have reported seeing smaller objects, such as spheres or orbs, flying in formation with the triangle UFOs. While there's been many sightings of these vessels over the years, the most noteworthy sighting comes from Phoenix, Arizona, in 1997. The event, titled The Phoenix Lights, was witnessed by thousands of people and is considered one of the largest mass sightings of a UFO in history. This event will be getting its own article in the future, due to how significant it was. The Phoenix Lights, to this day, are still unexplained. In recent years, the sphere UFOs have been mass sighted across many regions in the world. These objects are quite literally spheres, with witnesses describing them as small, metallic spheres with no visible markings or means of propulsion. An interesting point to note is that these objects are usually seen around military bases, nuclear bases, or active war zones. Now that adds to the theory that these are terrestrial surveillance drones operated by an unknown nation with the intention to monitor and observe their allies or adversaries. To me, this theory seems quite likely. In addition, it is worth noting that UFO signs are not only seen in the sky or on the ground. Numerous accounts have surfaced detailing sightings of mysterious flying objects descending into the depths of oceans and seas, with reports of these objects maneuvering bodies and items both in and out of the water and into the skies above. These enigmatic phenomena, known as underwater unidentified submerged objects or USOs, have garnered attention within the realm of ufology. One such account comes from Alexei Korzhev, a submarine commander, who claims to have encountered numerous mysterious occurrences underwater. Recounting an incident from 1984, Korzhev describes an encounter with what he believes to be a USO. Korzhev is not alone in disclosing such encounters, as others have shared their experiences with USOs beneath the sea. In this incident, Korzhev's submarine, engaged in wartime maneuvers, detected two unexplained objects on radar despite no expected submarines. These objects exhibited extraordinary speed, surpassing the maximum allowable speed for submarines. The crew monitored the objects and observed them rapidly changing depths within the water layers, defying conventional submarine capabilities. Seeking a closer look, Korzhev surfaced the submarine, positioning it above water with the captain and two officers observing from the deck. Attempting to discern the nature and intentions of these USOs, the officers were startled when one of the objects emerged vertically from the water, emitting a greenish light. Subsequently, the USO directed this light toward the submarine, activating its equipment and inducing fear among the crew. Believing the USO to be of extraterrestrial origin rather than a spy craft, Korzhev ordered the crew to seek refuge within the submarine and commence diving to escape. The crew experienced a harrowing ordeal as the USO appeared to track and target the submarine with its green light. leading some to speculate that it was attempting to sink the vessel. Ultimately, the equipment on board mysteriously resumed operation, and the USO swiftly descended toward the ocean floor. Korzev concluded that the encounter was a warning, suggesting that the USO was scanning the submarine's technology and equipment. While sightings of USOs have been the subject of speculation, ranging from government experiments to extraterrestrial encounters, Korzhev's detailed account and corroborating evidence from other cases suggest a phenomenon worthy of further investigation beyond mere imagination. And for decades, Alaska has been a hotbed of alleged UFO sightings, mysterious disappearances, and unexplained phenomena. From the northern lights illuminating the night sky to reports of strange lights darting across the horizon, the state's vastness seems tailor-made for tales of otherworldly visitors. One of the most infamous incidents linked to Alaska's alien lore is the Alaska Triangle, a region encompassing the area between Anchorage, Juneau, and Barrow. Similar to the Bermuda Triangle, this enigmatic zone has been associated with numerous disappearances of aircraft, ships, and people. Since 1988, over 16,000 people have vanished here, a rate that doubles the national average. Among these are notable cases such as the 1950 disappearance of a military C-54 Skymaster and the 1972 vanishing of a plane carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and former Alaska Congressman Nick Begich, both leaving no trace despite extensive searches. Continuing the intrigue within the Alaska Triangle, one of the most compelling UFO encounters involved Captain Kenju Terauchi of Japan Airlines Flight 1628. In November 1986, while flying from Paris to Tokyo, Captain Terauchi and his co-pilot spotted a colossal UFO described as twice the size of an aircraft carrier trailing them near Fort Yukon. The aftermath of going public with his experience led to Terauchi being stripped of his wings and assigned to an office job, a move that highlighted the stigma faced by those who report UFO sightings. Regardless, there are still a series of reports about UFO sightings. For example, an organization made up of civilian volunteers studies reported UFO sightings and has made the claims based on old eyewitness reports. According to its members, there may be alien bases off the coast of Alaska. Researchers and enthusiasts believe that the deep water off the coast of the state conceals the sites. It comes after they took a dive into the eyewitness reports from crew members of a ship in 1945. The alleged sightings of an alien craft from almost 80 years ago were never made public at the time. Unusual sightings in the area lead the network's members to believe that UFOs move over water and therefore likely have bases under the water. According to the researchers, the crew members on the U.S. Army transporter ship saw a UFO between 150 and 200 feet emerge from the water while sailing past Island Adak. It is claimed that the UFO was unchanged by the wind or sail while it turned in its position. It then allegedly circled the ship a number of times before taking off. However, the reports of the sightings have not been found, and investigators have had to work without them. Enthusiasts believe that UFOs would be used to transport extraterrestrial life to other alien sites hiding in the waters. UFO researcher Johnny Enoch claims that sightings of UFOs rising from the water are due to an underwater network. He added, "Some have said the UFOs are using wormholes as a superhighway to connect their places in the universe. Some ufologists have theorized that other sites on Earth act as bases for alien life, including a mountain in Seoul, South Korea, which is allegedly hiding a UFO, according to Dr. Stephen Greer. In an episode of the series The Alaska Triangle, Enoch showed satellite images from underwater in an attempt to prove his belief in an underwater network. The images reportedly showed one of these alien bases in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California. Meanwhile, another researcher featured in the program showed markings from the seabed that she claimed could have been roadways for aliens. The U.S. Sun previously reported on the 3-hour closure of an airport last weekend following an alleged UFO sighting. India's Air Force scrambled jets in response to a UFO that was seen hovering over Imphaal's Bir Tikendrajit International Airport. According to police, the object was visible with bare eyes before it mysteriously vanished. Sadly, no evidence of a UFO was found following its disappearance. Regardless, the belief in UFOs still exists. Either way, the most famous UAP encounters in modern aviation history, cases from 2004, 2014, and 2015 that involve pilot sightings, radar tracking, and objects caught on video, remain unsolved. The UAP task force considered conventional explanations for the sightings, such as natural atmospheric phenomena, misidentified civilian aircraft, and radar malfunction. But except for one report that they attributed to a deflating balloon, the investigators currently lack sufficient information in our data set to attribute incidents to specific explanations. The uncertainty leaves stranger and more disturbing theories to be considered, such as foreign adversary systems, and what the report refers to as a catch-all other bin. Even without answers, the report is a welcome validation for those in the military who witnessed unknown objects in the sky. As Alex Dietrich, a former Navy pilot who observed a UAP in 2004, said, "We were ridiculed and mocked by so many, so now it feels nice to have people ask good questions and to have them really be interested in getting to the bottom of it." Then, of course, there's that underlying sense of urgency that we all have. Is this a threat to national security? A number of U.S. officials are now posing that same question. What Dietrich saw in the sky 16 years ago started a series of events that changed the discussion about unidentified aerial sightings forever. On November 14, 2004, Lieutenant Junior Grade Dietrich was pushed back into the cockpit seat of her FA-18 Super Hornet as it sped 150 miles per hour toward the edge of the flight deck of the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz. The G-forces increased as she applied the afterburners and roared away from the ship to begin a day of routine pre-deployment training off the coast of California, near Catalina Island. Just after leaving the deck of the Nimitz, she observed an oblong object hovering over the water. It suddenly leapt into motion, skimming 500 to 1,000 feet over the waves at around 500 knots or 575 miles per hour. The fighter jet's onboard radar couldn't detect the object, but Dietrich's weapon systems operator, or WSO, in the rear seat, whose name is not public, saw it too, crying out over the radio.
"We were trying to call out what we are seeing to each other and to make sure everybody else is seeing it. It's moving so erratically and so fast that our voices, our minds, and then our radio calls can't keep up with it. We train our eyes and our minds to make those split-second categorizations. We saw that there was a vehicle. There was a vessel there, then almost immediately. That is not any vehicle or vessel I recognize."
Other Super Hornets launched behind Dietrich, one with pilot Samdiar, David Fravor, and WSO Lat Semdiar. Jim Slade on board, and another piloted by Lat Semdiar, Chad Underwood, and an unidentified aviator. Warned that something was out there, Underwood managed to capture the craft on a forward-looking infrared camera. It was 40 feet long, round and smooth, and quickly received the nickname Tic Tac. What Dietrich didn't know at the time was that unexplained objects had been detected on radar in that same airspace for days. Gary Voorhis, a petty officer 3rd class on the USS Princeton guided missile cruiser, a ship training with the Nimitz, began to see things appear on his radar screens on November 10th, 4 days before Dietrich's flight. Voorhis, with 6 years in the Navy at the time, was the technician responsible for 2 of the Princeton's combat systems, and what he was seeing was impossible. In just seconds, an object had dropped to the waterline from 60,000 feet, hovered, and then zipped away at high velocity. It made right-angle turns that were confounding.
Before it was reported even to the captain, those systems were triple-checked, and then once it was taken up with the captain, they were triple-checked again. Everything was working perfect, which made it even creepier.
The strange objects returned over several days. Voorhis made it a point to look with his own eyes, asking watch officers for radar information so he could know where to aim his binoculars.
I was able to see it on the horizon. I got to see it during the night and during the day, and it definitely was a glowing object. Could I tell you for 100% certainty it was exactly what we were tracking? No, but I was just looking at the bearing and elevation, and it was exactly where it was supposed to be.
Despite the radar evidence, when Dietrich and her WSO reported what they saw, it received little attention from superiors. As a result, the sighting receded in importance as Dietrich's career progressed. She served in Iraq and Afghanistan, logging more than 1,250 hours and 375 carrier landings during combat missions. She then worked several well-placed administrative jobs with the Navy in Washington, D.C., but the ripple effects of the sighting never really went away. Officials in the Pentagon repeatedly asked her to brief people who wanted to hear her story firsthand. Since 2004, Dietrich has been requested to deliver briefings at least once a year and usually more, often enough that it became a nuisance.
It was a total pain in the ass. Then it started with the Hill. Can you come brief these senators and congressmen? McCain's office is interested in this. How do you say no to John McCain?
During presidential turnovers, Pentagon officials even asked her to brief the new administrations, speaking with senior-level naval intelligence officials, both civilian and military. Interest in the sightings waxed and waned, but definitively spiked in late 2014 and early 2015, when Super Hornets attached to the USS Roosevelt began encountering fast-moving, unidentified aircraft that looked, in one pilot's words, like a cube inside a sphere. Equipped with upgraded radar, these warplanes were able to track the strange targets. Early the next year, 3 sets of gun camera videos also captured flying objects, which have since been nicknamed Gimbal and Go Fast. One pilot remarks in a recorded encounter, "They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west." "Look at that thing, dude," another cries out. "Look at that thing, it's rotating." The naval aviators who shot the footage have not been identified, but 2 pilots have come forward as witnesses, Lieutenant Danny Alcoin and Lot Ryan Graves. In both 2014 and 2015, they spotted odd returns on their radar screens and captured strange wingless, tailless objects on the airplane's video cameras. In interviews, Alcoin has said that the objects reacted to the warplanes and moved around them. These pilots, and others who remain unidentified, saw objects at various altitudes, including sea level, and tracked them accelerating to hypersonic speeds, greater than 5 times the speed of sound. Some exhibited extreme endurance, staying in the air for up to 12 hours without refueling. Others seemed to descend into the water, as shown on videos taken by Navy personnel. The fact that the craft were again operating near American aircraft carriers raised blood pressures among military officials and politicians. Thus, in 2017, the Pentagon formed the UAP Task Force to investigate the inexplicable occurrences, but the Defense Department denied the program existed until 2020, when Congress revealed it in legislative language. The Senate Intelligence Committee, then headed by Senator Marco Rubio, shortly thereafter ordered a report on what the UAP task force had been up to. That report reveals that strange flight behavior was spotted in numerous UAP sightings. It says that, in 18 incidents described in 21 reports, observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics. We are conducting further analysis to determine if breakthrough technologies were demonstrated. In August 2020, the Pentagon announced the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force to improve its understanding of and gain insight into the nature and origins of the unidentified objects. In April 2021, the Navy confirmed video of unidentified objects buzzing U.S. warships near California. The incident would be added to the list of sightings under investigation. In June, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released its preliminary assessment of UFO sightings from 2004 to 2021. The report suggested that the UFOs, now known as UAPs, could fall into 5 likely categories: airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomena, public and private aerospace developmental programs, foreign adversary systems, and a catch-all other bin. More funding and reporting was needed. In April 2022, the Pentagon announced the formation of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to investigate objects that might pose a threat to national security. The following June, NASA announced it was setting up an independent study program to cover the issue from a scientific perspective. As David Spergel, the study team leader, we will be identifying what data from civilians, government, nonprofits, companies exists, what else we should try to collect, and how to best analyze it. And 2022 also brought another acronym change. Unidentified aerial phenomena are now officially called unidentified anomalous phenomena. Whatever is happening up above, it still hasn't entirely been explained. The DNI released a follow-up report in June 2023 identifying an additional 510 sightings, of which 171 remained unexplained. In those cases, unidentified craft often appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities, the report said. Most explosively, a former intelligence official named David Grush came forward in June with a whistleblower report alleging the U.S. government was in possession of intact and partially intact vehicles from UFO crash sites. Grush filed a whistleblower complaint in 2022. He said that in his role in the government, he had been charged with investigating what military, defense, and other agencies knew about aliens and alien craft, but alleged he had been prevented from accessing secret government UFO programs. Speaking in July 2023's hearing, Grush said he has faced very brutal retaliation as a result of his allegations. "It hurt me both professionally and personally," Grush said. Under questioning, Grush confirmed that he had knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in the course of government efforts to conceal UFO information. Asked by an oversight committee member if he had feared for his life, Grush replied, "Yes, definitely." Grush added, "I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency." Grush's allegation, aired in interviews with The Debrief and News Nation, that the federal government was hiding this evidence of alien craft from Congress, sparked a firestorm in June, prompting the Republican-led Oversight Committee to launch an immediate investigation. Since then, the intrigue around what evidence the government has or doesn't have around UFOs has only intensified. Tim Burchett, a Republican congressman from Tennessee who is co-leading the UFO investigation, has claimed in recent weeks that the U.S. had evidence of technology that defies all of our laws of physics, and that alien craft possessed technology that could turn us into a charcoal briquette. However, in that hearing, Burchett sought to downplay, somewhat, what people would hear. "We're not bringing little green men or flying saucers into the hearing. Sorry to disappoint about half y'all. We're just going to get to the facts," Burchett said. That announcement drew a chuckle, but Burchett became more serious as he accused government agencies of a lack of cooperation with the Oversight Committee investigation. "It's been so difficult to get here today. In the Baptist Church, we say that the devil is in our way, and the devil has been in our way for this thing. We've run into roadblocks from members, the intelligence community, and the Pentagon." While there were no little green men in the hearing, Grush did claim that the U.S. has recovered alien beings. After Grush had reiterated his position that the government had possession of crashed extraterrestrial vehicles, he was asked if, "We have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft." "As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries," Grush said. These biologics, Grush said, were non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program. He said the government had probably had knowledge of non-human activity since the 1930s. The Pentagon has denied Grush's claims of a cover-up. In a statement, a Defense Department spokeswoman, Sue Goff, said investigators had not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession or reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past or exist currently. Other witnesses at the hearing were David Fravor, a former Navy commander who on Wednesday recalled seeing a strange object in the sky while on a training mission in 2004, and Ryan Graves, a retired Navy pilot who has claimed that he saw unidentified aerial phenomena off the Atlantic coast every day for at least a couple years. Graves, who has since founded Americans for Safe Aerospace, a UAP nonprofit, said he was appearing to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial air crews and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Asked if there were similarities between his sightings and others that have been reported, he said many of the UFOs reported were dark gray or black cubes inside of clear sphere, where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of the sphere. Sadly, until now, the government cover-up continues. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or ARO, recently released Volume 1 of their historical report. The problem? The report is not just bad, but is beyond incompetence and probably intentional. Some aspects of the report probably are incompetence, for example, initially writing that Harry Reid was a senator from New Mexico. This was probably a rough draft error that made it through to the final. We all make mistakes, I guess. However, some of the reports seemed intentional and meant to diminish actual whistleblowers. There's no mention of either David Fravor, the pilot who was a witness at the Nimitz event, or David Grush, the whistleblower who interviewed 40 or so primary witnesses and was read into crash retrieval programs of crashes by non-human intelligence. They did manage to mention one David Norquist, a former Deputy Secretary of Defense, but neither of the other two Davids made it into the report. Anything they said was ignored, and the report seemed dismissive of both of their testimony. There were many important witnesses left out of the report, like Robert Dean, Philip J. Corso, Clifford Stone, Robert Salas, and so on. The former head of ARO, Sean Kirkpatrick, has been openly hostile to both David Grush and David Fravor, and any other witnesses with claimed actual knowledge. This doesn't seem like simple incompetence since they managed to include Wilbert Smith, a lesser-known Canadian official, but didn't expand much on him. ARO has been described as Blue Book 2.0, and it seems that way. No evidence that they did any serious investigation into the UFO subject. This seems to be beyond making a few mistakes, and is evidenced by the former head of ARO's hostility to whistleblowers. They cited Blue Book's conclusions that none of the sightings were extraterrestrial, verbatim, even though Blue Book maintained that around 5% of the sightings remained unidentified. Blue Book was wrong then and now. I don't know how multiple anomalous aircraft flying close to American shops is not a danger or a possible problem. Part of the problem is that David is undergoing a whistleblower retaliation investigation, and ARO isn't equipped to handle this. As Matthew Pines has stated, they don't have much power to push past the gatekeeping of these programs. They seem more like a cover-up operation. Some parts read like that explicitly. That's because there was a cover-up and still is, and ARO is playing into that. Countless whistleblowers and testimonies over the years are all wrong, including photos and videos, and somehow ARO is right to just ignore it all, despite interviewing countless witnesses. Some parts are accurate at all. Yes, there are a few individuals associated with AATIP that were involved, like Lou Elizondo and James Lakatsky, but not everyone is. Was Robert Dean, Jesse Marcel, or Philip Corso directly involved with AATIP? They lived and even died long before there even was an AA tip. The report isn't all that bad at times and has some very good historical cases, including various projects like Grudge and Sign. In addition, some statements in the report probably are true to some extent, for example, and the White House is lying about it or misinformed. For example, the report says that the White House conducted a study into the effects of extraterrestrial contact, but later denied this to ARO. We know the Rand Corporation has done this before in the Brookings report, but I'm not sure if this is the same organization they are describing. There are many organizations in the Washington Nova area, including Rand, but also MITRE, that could possibly be the source. Nick Redfern in his book describes his source, Dr. Mandor, who also talks about a White House NSC program to study UFOs and extraterrestrial abductions. We're not sure if this is related to ARO's investigation, but it probably is at least adjacent. Some of the interviews discussed are well known, for example. Michael Herrera is a former Marine who said that he saw special operations loading containers onto extraterrestrial spacecraft. This was a real event, and Michael seemed sincere. Some of these witnesses sound similar to what Dan Sherman has said or various other whistleblowers over the years, including overhearing conversations about aliens being present on the base. One thing we don't understand is considering all this testimony and the various photos and videos over the years. How ARO doesn't conclude that something unusual is going on, and there may not only be an ET presence, but a cover-up at the highest levels. I don't entirely blame ARO, it's a cover-up that goes beyond just them. However, it's clear that ARO could have done a better job and included the other Davids involved in the UAP House hearing. It seems as if they weren't interested in investigating them at all, which supports the idea that there is a cover-up. By stating that most of the sightings were secret military craft, then ARO is implicitly admitting we have aircraft that can pull 100 without a hitch and no harm to the pilot, which should be impossible by current standards. ARO seems designed to obfuscate and cover up, and we shouldn't expect much out of the office, to be honest. That's all the information that we have for you today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss out on future episodes. And be sure to also tell us what you think about today's content. Everyone's support motivates us to continue delivering quality content and to always improve. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.